Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Ravery Sports Podcast, the Baltimore Sports Podcast for fans like me. Like and subscribe to all of our social media content that we have. So, thank you for joining us this week. Rough week for us, I know, as fans. So, we're gonna go ahead and soldier on this week as well. So we're going to go ahead and get our business out the way first. Genesis Notary Services dot slash Facebook. You want to go ahead and sign up with me with my notary business. You can go ahead on our website, Genesis Notary Service. You can go ahead and slash. There you go. You can book appointments right on the website. Okay, so book appointments right on the website. I'm getting more phone calls lately, but absolutely, you can go on the website and book it. You don't even have to go ahead and do that. If you know what you want to go ahead and do, go ahead. We can reach out to you, and I'll go ahead and reach out to you. You can book it right on the website. We can set up the date, time, and place. There's a sections right on there to go ahead and do that right on the website. Speaking of website, since you brought it up, on the website, our ravorisports.company.site. Definitely, you can go on the website and buy a lot of our products, like this Oriole hat here. Definitely, the Orioles. You can go ahead and get your Oriole hats. You can get your Ravens jerseys. We are working on getting right now. My big thing with the website is buying larger sizes. That is the thing that people want the most. Double XL, XL, etc. So definitely, you can get a medium or whatever, small sizes as well, but definitely double XL. If you don't want to go on the website as well, or you can for whatever reason, you can just go ahead, that email address at the bottom, ravorisports@gmail.com. Also, last but not least, Maryland Terps basketball special is coming. They're going to open the season on the 7th against Mount St. Mary's. We will be doing our video the night before the Maryland Terps basketball preview. Definitely is going to go happen on the 6th. So definitely that video is going to drop the night before. We're going to be talking Terps basketball then. Well, rough week. I went ahead this week and said this was going to be the biggest week in Baltimore sports, biggest weekend, and it was, but it wasn't good in several areas. But we're going to go ahead and chop it up like this. We're going to go ahead and shout it out here. We're going to start with football, like we always do. First the Rave, then the Ori, Ravery Sports. And let's talk a little bit about the game that happened on Sunday. I just hate losing to Pittsburgh, period, under any circumstances. But I mean, I'll just start off and say it. You didn't really lose. You gave it away. I said that in the post game. I said that when people asked me this week, they gave it away. They didn't want to win. And when you play a team, a little bit more perspective a couple days after the game, Pittsburgh does have defense on this team. Their pass rush is first rate. I think Joey Porter is coming up young. I think they did start some younger. There are some things there, but they're nowhere in the Ravens class. Their offense is lousy. Matt Canada, the calls to fire him make perfect sense. His offenses look no good. Ravens gave it away though. Lamar, stats don't say it. His Pro Football Focus grade was the highest in the NFL this week, even though he threw 59%. Why did he throw 50-something percent? Because there were 7 drops. That's insane, like for 1 week. I saw a couple people say, well, Kansas City has, y'all get it out of here with that. You got Odell Beckham. You brought in Odell Beckham. You got Rashad Bateman. You brought these guys in. Catch the ball. That's ridiculous. 7 drops in a game. And it wasn't just one guy. That'd be one thing. But it was enough to go around. Bateman dropped a touchdown. Andrews dropped a touchdown. Zay Flowers dropped a wide. I mean, it was just that was ridiculous. 6 carries, 45 rush yards for Lamar. Lamar, I thought had a good day, except for at the end. Bad interception to Odell Beckham. I thought at the end, I thought that was a lousy pass. I thought it was one of the worst I ever seen him do. Beckham, I thought, didn't compete either. Like if that rookie just outcompeted him for the ball. Like when you have a bad ball like that, you got to go ahead and fight for it. Really didn't see that. He looked a little off kilter on that. Lamar also too with the fumble as well. Looking at it, a lot of people saying maybe Ronnie Stanley because the I think it was Highsmith came behind him and stripped him of it. I don't think Lamar knew he was there. That's a thing though. That's 7 fumbles for Lamar this year. That's not good. That one might not have been on him, but I mean the reason why it's a trend. It's got a better ball security from Lamar. Gus Edwards, you can almost copy paste the stat line for every game this year. 12 carries, 48 yards. Gus is underutilized. They're using Justice Hill, and he fumbled on Sunday. This is the thing with Justice Hill, like kind of like with the fumbles and everything like that. I don't know why he's not playing more. I just don't know. I just don't know what it is. I had to think there was an injury or something. Clearly, Todd Monken really likes Justice Hill, but every week we kind of got the same. That's 4.5 yards. That's over 4 yards a carry he's getting you every week, and he only gets about 12, 13 carries. I don't know why he's not carrying the ball more. Zay Flowers. As quiet as kept, Zay Flowers' day wasn't terrible. I mean, he had that horrible where he fell down and catch the ball, things like that. A couple of mistakes. A little more tolerant than him because he is still a rookie. He's been clearly your most productive wide receiver all season long. 5 receptions, 73 yards, still waiting for his first NFL touchdown. This is Roquan Smith's defense. He's fantastic every week. I think he's dominant every week. I think he's definitely now the leader, the linchpin, 11 tackles in every phase. Pass rush, covering tight ends, tackling at the line of scrimmage. There's nothing he doesn't do well. And he also gets the other guys to do it. Patrick Queen is making a lot of money off of that as well. I thought the defensive overall was really, really good. I really had nothing really with the defense. Humphrey, I think a lot of people are picking on Humphrey because he gave up the long touchdown pass, which is a very rare animal. That he gave up such a long touchdown pass. I don't think it was that bad. I honestly, that seems kind of silly. He gave up a long touchdown. I don't think it was that bad. I think kind of he's working his way back in, and it was a great pass. I mean, it was a great passing catch. George Pickens is the real deal, and Pickett. Pickett, let's talk about Pickett. That was his day. 18 to 32, 224, 1 TD, the long touchdown pass to George Pickens late in the game, which was huge difference. Like the only Steeler touchdown that they had the whole game. Jury's still out on this guy. He's improving a little bit. I think he does have a defensive coach. His offensive coordinator is clearly inept. I mean, maybe that's too strong a word, but not good. Matt Canada actually was at Maryland, so I don't hate Matt Canada at all, but their offense is just not clicking. This is the big thing I noticed on Sunday. This was a real eye opener for me. Jaylen Warren, 9 carries, 40 yards. Let me tell you something. When they had Najee Harris in the game, they did nothing. There was a big difference between him and Jaylen Warren. Jaylen Warren is a much better pass blocker than Najee Harris was on Sunday, and he's a better running back, period. Najee, I think when they put him in, he might get you a few yards, but largely they didn't do anything with him. Jaylen Warren was a big difference maker. I was shocked late in the game. Jaylen Warren had a couple carries. They put Najee Harris back in, and immediately they went back to doing nothing. They put Warren back in, and immediately they started moving the ball a little bit. That was very eye-opening. He should be starting instead of Najee Harris. That was really stark to see that as well. I don't know if he's a great back yet, but the Steelers need to look for a running back. I mean, that was wildly eye-opening. Pickens, we know this guy's really good. 6 carries, 6 receptions, 130 yards. This is really all they have in the receiving core. Excuse me. At the current time, you got no Pat Fairmouth. They got no Deontay Johnson. They traded away Chase Claypool. They traded him away because this guy's really good. I think this is going to be And a lot of Steelers fans think this is going to be the combination that's going to serve them going forward. I totally agree with that. I think these are the two guys. If they are successful going forward, these are going to be the guys. They also started Broderick Jones, first round pick, the first round game. I thought he did. I thought that was an upgrade as well. But the Steelers' offense, by and large, was anemic. Defensively, T.J. Watt was fantastic, 2 sacks. If their pass rusher is what they do have from the old Steelers. They have 2 outstanding pass rushers. One thing the Steelers had for so many years, they had 2 guys on the rush end, whether it was James Harrison and Lamar Woodley, or they had Joey Porter Sr., or they had Kevin Green, or Greg Lloyd. I mean, all the names. These 2 guys are that guy, and that they gave Ronnie Stanley didn't look great. And again, Ronnie Stanley kind of working his way back. He gave, 9 pressures. That's a lot for a guy. But again, not working his way back. Not too worried about Ronnie Stanley working his way back. Also, to great steal pass rush that they have. So Ravens give it away though. Just 7 drops. Had a punt block. That's the other thing too. Special teams has been shaky all year long. I think ever since Jerry Rosberg retired, it's been shakier that under Chris Horton. I really think it's kind of been masked by how great Tucker is, but it's been sliding down a bit over the last few years. Decent enough, but I think it's been an issue. That cost you. This is like a couple times we've seen a couple long punt returns, a couple long kick returns, a couple bad penalty. You had a punt block. Stout was having a good day punting the ball. So we'll see. Harbaugh, terrible decision not to go for the points. I agree with all the criticism on that. I'll say this. It's almost as if John Harbaugh would say he's heard the criticism of him being too aggressive this year. He's been a little less aggressive, I think, at times this year. I think he's been a little unsure of himself, or it seems as if he's a little, if not unsure of himself, trying to stop being so aggressive all the time. That's definitely a thing. So Squealers win 17-10. Again, Ravens gave it away. They are now tied in first place. Steelers are in first place all by themselves. One last thing on the Squealers. I was expecting the annoying Steelers fans, as they always are, just be. They kind of said, surprisingly, when I watched a couple of these Steelers streams, they kind of said the same thing I said of this game. They were unimpressed that they won. I mean, obviously you're happy to get it, but they were just kind of unimpressed with the Steelers in general. But however, it is what it is. So we are moving on this week to the Titans. So before there was a Ravens-Steeler rivalry, there was a Ravens-Titans rivalry. Get this one going. I was actually watching some of those old clips of Eddie George and Ray Lewis and all that when these 2 teams were in the same division fighting for the division title. Same type of rivalry. Hit each other in the mouth. That's what you're going to see from these 2 teams here. Lamar's season. Over 1,000 yards passing now, 4 TDs, 2 interceptions. Lamar is throwing the ball very well. I think he's at 70%. I think his decision making he doesn't get credit for because he throws the ball very well. I think it's astounding how much criticism he gets as a passer. He is a very good, decisive passer. The only reason, the biggest reason besides the narrative is his yardage numbers are never that great. He's not doing 400, 500 yards passing, 350 very often. It's usually around the 220, 240 variety. But his accuracy is very good. He's making some very good throws. Secure the football. Secure the football. That's the thing Lamar has to work on. Gus Edwards, can we get Gus some more carries, please? It's obvious to me that he should be the guy getting most of the carries. I don't know. I, I, I'm just trying to figure out why Justice Hill, why you're playing Justice Hill so much more, why you're it's getting so many reps and you're not giving him the guts, which is clear to me that this guy should be doing it. Look, not even a lot of opportunities. 56 carries, he's got over 200 yards rushing. He's on pace to get over 1,000 yards, even in limited action every week. Zay Flowers has been your best wide receiver this year. 29 carries, 317 yards. Let's see something from Beckham in this game as well. Beckham, I thought, doesn't look healthy to me. Doesn't look healthy at all. Kind of like last week as well. Like to see more. Zay Flowers, though, we know what we're getting. This guy is going to blow past anybody in the secondary. They have a good secondary in Tennessee, but we'll see how that goes. Roquan, I think he may lead the NFL in tackles this year. That's how good he's been. 1.5 sacks. I think he's probably also him and Patrick Queen have been your best pass rushers as well on the inside. Jadeveon Clowney continues to miss sacks. The Van Noy, I think is what he is. I think he's fine. Set the edge guy. He's going to go ahead and make sure that you don't break those long runs on the outside. I actually have no problem with that with guy. Okay, he's fine. I thought the run defense has been very, very good. I think the secondary as well hasn't been that bad. I mean, they didn't give up a lot of points next week. I mean, save for the long touchdown. I mean, they really did a good job on the Steelers pass game. Who we got? Tannehill, the Titans. Not a great start for him. I will give Tannehill this shout out. He's kind of honestly, they've been trying to replace him, whether they admit that or not. Let's get the Titans drafting up there. Let's do that. They've been trying to replace him, whether they go ahead and they admit that or not. They drafted Malik Willis last year. That hasn't worked out. And so far, Will Levis hasn't been able to take his spot either. So Tannehill, I think he kind of is what he is. I think he's kind of a tier 2, tier 3 quarterback at that level. I think after this year, for sure, I think this is it. But we've said that the last couple years, they've been trying to replace him. Not off to a great start. They run the ball, though. I mean, they run the ball. Derrick Henry is I think, you know what? I've noticed down the league, Derek, a lot of running backs are smaller. You know, I used to be, before we had the Ravens, I used to watch a lot of Chiefs games, Christian Okoye, Barry Ward. You see backs like Herschel Walker and those guys. That's what they look like. This is what they look like. You got a guy like Derrick Henry who just runs over everybody. Doesn't matter. This guy healthy, I think he is the main guy. I think this is why the Titans are still in games. This is why the Titans are able to win games on offense, despite that. Look how good this guy's been. So you signed Odell. Lamar wanted Odell Beckham and DeAndre Hopkins, and DeAndre Hopkins has been fantastic for him. They went and traded AJ Brown for some crazy reason. I think probably salary cap, I'm assuming, was the reason. And they went ahead and drafted Tylen Burks last year in the first round, still coming around. So they went out with free agents and signed DeAndre Hopkins. DeAndre Hopkins has been fantastic for him. He's been Tannehill's best weapon so far this season. He's healthy. He's very good. A lot of no-name guys on the Titans, from lack of a better word. A lot of guys like D'Amico Autry, et cetera, like that. But the Pro Bowler that they have is this guy, Kevin Byard. He's a top 10 safety, I think, in the NFL. One of the best free safeties, plays all around. I think the Kyle Hamilton potential you talking about has been Kevin Byard his career. I think he's better in coverage than Hamilton is. I think he's top shelf. I think he's going to be the guy that's going to lead him as far as that going forward. He's really, really good. So I think like that, Lamar might want to stay away from Kevin Byard. in the secondary. X Factor. We're calling it that, X Factor. Odell, where are you, man? Zay Flowers has been playing. He's been, and Odell hasn't really done much. Couple catches here and there. And I will say they have been doubling him, and he has been out. But I really think they're going to try and get Odell involved in this game. He's been hearing all that and squared up. Marlon Humphrey gave up the long touchdown pass in the last game, kind of on a pitch count. Let's see if he gets back to the Marlon Humphrey that we know. Would say secondary has been good. Brandon Stevens still pleasant surprise. A lot of these guys, Rock Your Sin, all that, not so bad here. So we worry as much as we worried about it. We could get Marlon Humphrey back to where he was. I think you really might have a dominant chance for secondary. Ravens win this game 24-21. Titans, it's so tough to predict because you never know which Titan team shows up. Derrick Henry too is such an X factor on the other side. I think I think even he is going to have trouble with this Ravens run defense though. The way Queen and Roquan have looked, that's going to make a big difference. Teams have been having trouble running the ball on the Ravens. Ravens are top 5 in rush defense in the league. I don't know if you completely shut him down, but I think that would be enough. I think the offense, there's no way you look as bad as you did last week. There's no way you dropped as many balls. I know this. Another X factor is London. But they're not playing the Jags who are used to playing over there. You're playing a team that's kind of in the same boat as you are, hasn't been over there a lot. I like the Ravens by a touchdown. I think this is more physical, low-scoring, 24-21 Ravens and Titans go ahead and win. So then I think the Ravens go ahead and bounce back. We could use a little bounce back around here. After the event of the last week here. So let's go to our big 5, the 5 biggest games on the schedule that are not NFL games. The 5 biggest games that are not Ravens games on the schedule this week. Big 5 last week. Jags and Bills. Bills had a costly injury. I think the secondary, Davis White got hurt a week before. Matt Milano, that's going to hurt them. Jags actually win. Jags are still a little bit inconsistent, but I think they're still really good. I think they're still a work in progress, but they're still really good. Trevor Lawrence has been really good. Eagles won ugly again over the Rams. I got to tell you, these ugly victories are starting to add up. I think this is kind of what they are. I think they're just kind of a physical team, a better version of the Steelers, winning ugly, but winning consistently. I think they're up to 5-0. Pats last week, it's over. Belichick's got to go. I thought they would bounce back. They looked worse. It's definitely over in New England. They definitely need to make a change there. 49ers didn't surprise me at all. 49ers are fantastic. I mean, I don't think Dallas is that bad. I just think the 49ers are really good. And Packers and Raiders was very tough to predict, even though it was a big game. Because you know which Raiders team shows up. Raiders were good last week. Jordan Love is not going to get you a lot of points. I've kind of noticed that. I just think he can. I don't think he can do anything but think and don't. I think anytime he throws the ball down the field, then you see a lot. Then you see a lot of interceptions. His downfield percentage is not great. Seahawks and Bengals this week. Bengals. Which one of these two teams in this one has 5th in scoring offense, and which one of these two teams is 31st in total offense? So it's the Seahawks with the 5th in scoring offense, and it's the Bengals with 31st in total offense. Now, let's say if Burrow can look like Burrow that we know, and I think that may start to happen, there's no question about it. This I think I keep kind of underestimating the Seahawks. So I think this will be close. I think the Bengals they'll do win. In spite of that, I think Burrow's is ready to roll now. I kind of go with that thought as well. The Seahawks, though, I would say their offense is for real. I mean, I think they definitely have definitely players there as well. This will be a tough day. I think the Bengals though win a close game at home. The Niners, I think there's no question that they're the best team in the NFL. I don't think there's a question, a thought in it. As good as the Browns defense is, they're first in the NFL in total defense. I think in rush defense, I think they're like fourth. I don't think there's anything, but the Niners are like top five on both sides of the ball. They're like second in rush defense, third in total offense. They're win convincingly. Brock Purdy, I don't think there's any question about it. I mean, you could argue he's MVP of the league here so far. He's got weapons and he's using them and he's playing well and he's poised and his team is behind him. This is absolutely, to me, the best team in the NFL. I don't think the Browns offensively have issues. I don't know if Myles Garrett will play. I think at some point the Niners will lose simply because you're not great every week, but I think that's the only thing. I think 49ers win this game. Colts are actually going to go ahead and play the Jags. This is for first place in the South. I think this will be kind of summed up with Trevor Lawrence going against the 27th total defense in the NFL. I think they're kind of fighting. They're kind of fighting hard, though. I'm giving them credit. They did sign Jonathan Taylor, bring him back. That'll matter in that number because they're not so good on offense. I mean, I'm not sure this is a downgrade to Gardner Minshew as well. I think the Jaguars should win, but they lack consistency. But this is a big game for them as far as putting separation for them in the division. Lions and Bucks, two first place teams. Lions first place 4-1 in the North against the Bucks, leading the South as well. I like though. This is like the Bucks lead. The reason why the Bucks are winning, everybody's saying Baker Mayfield. One of my favorite football stats: plus minus, giveaway, takeaway. Bucks are leading the league along with the 49ers. They're taking the ball away and they're giving it. That's what the Giants did a lot of last year. That's why they won a lot of games despite their lack of talent. I think Mayfield's not that bad. I mean, it hasn't been that bad this year. He's definitely got pieces around him. They're coming off the bye. I think I like them here over the Lions. I think the Lions I think the Lions are offensively, I think, really good. But I think they'd be able to do something on the ground. I'm gonna go with a little bit of upset here. I like the Bucks in this one as well. Two hard teams to judge because they're kind of in the same boat. They're very talented. I think they have great players on both sides. I think they have all pro players on both sides, but they kind of don't do well in big games and close games. So the Cowboys don't do well against really good teams. The Chargers don't do well in close games. I think the biggest thing here, though, when you see that statistically, Chargers need help on defense. I think I look at here, you look at Justin Herbert having a great year, 7 touchdowns and 1 interception. Dak Prescott, five touchdowns to 4 picks. I don't know what's going on with Prescott exactly. I've kind of offended him, but it's clear he's not doing well against good competition. I kind of seen that a couple of times. He has good days against quarterbacks that are not great, and I think you're playing a great quarterback. I like the Chargers here. I would say this is going to be a Cowboy home game. Like, there's going to be I mean, people. I think it's a little bit overblown that the Chargers don't have a home field. I mean, NFL fans are not college fans; they don't make a lot of noise anyway. But I think this definitely would matter because the Cowboys are going to have fans absolutely there in the stadium. So there you go. So Big Five, the 5 big on the schedule that are not Raven Games. Go ahead and enjoy all the games. So definitely go ahead and check that out as well. Well, we had a Maryland game that went left on us too. So we had a big noon Saturday game. This was well, first of all, it's really cool to have Gus Johnson call a game. I love him. I usually announcers that style I don't always love, but to have him call it that I thought it was fantastic to have Gus Johnson actually call a game as well. Maryland loses 37-17. Buckeyes go ahead and beat them. Uh, this one kind of went like I thought. For early, they kind of stayed in, and then the talent kind of crept in after 4 quarters. The depth actually kind of crept in as well. Stats not great for him, Tua. This was probably his worst day. 21 for 41. Threw a lot. That's a lot of passes. That's more, a lot of passes, but they were behind. 196, 1 touchdown, 2 picks. I thought I think kind of with him too. Like you gotta like when he has to throw the ball down, but when he kind of has to go off schedule a bit, that's kind of where a really good defense again. But he's so precise usually. Like it's tough to do that. But I've seen like when he hasn't had success, I think that's what it is. Like team, you could kind of pick him off if you could kind of make him move downfield, kind of break his rhythm up. Roman Hemby, I think 8 yards, 8 carries, 35 yards. Robin Emmy's really good. I think you see a lot of Little John as well. They kind of break up they kind of like do they kind of have a 2-back rotation. I think Hemby has been good all year. Not as good in this one, not as productive. Caitlin Prather is excuse me, he had 49 yards, 1 TD. Jay Sean Jones, I think, is their best receiver, 5 receptions, 59 yards. Not bad. Considering circumstances. They only had 21 completions. Bo Braid, I thought, was good again. He's the best defensive player. People keep saying that it's Tariq Still or it's the middle linebacker. I really like him. I think he's kind of a steady player as well. I'm not so sure he can't play at the next level. I think he's pretty good. Kyle McCord's good. He was 19 for 29. He had 320. Not a great start at him. He seems to be a slow starter in every game I've seen him in. He's good, but it kind of takes him a quarter and a half to get rolling. I kind of seen that in all the games with him. Travion Henderson didn't play. Chip Trayanum did. He had 20 carries, 61 yards. I thought it was a noticeable difference. It was not as good a back as they've had, even though he's outstanding as well because it's Ohio State. But I thought he wasn't bad at all. I thought the Terps defense that's not kind of what they do well. Stop the run. They kind of won that 3-3-5. They run a lot of DBs in there, like a lot. So that's why I think that was a lot of it. Marvin Harrison Jr. That was sensational. They couldn't do anything with him. He's 8 touch 163. Kyle McCord found him often. He was sensational. JT. Should have practiced knowing his last name. Tibalabo, he is the NFL first round draft pick in waiting. 1.5 sacks. He gave him havoc. He was, I think, the guy that was kind of keeping Tagovailoa off schedule in this one as well. So I think they definitely had a whole lot of problems with him as far as getting that squared away. The Buckeyes have more talent than the Terps. That's just all it was to it. I thought the Terps were game. I think they will win a lot of their games left. I just don't think that again. Ohio State, Michigan, and Penn State in the same division as them. They just got tough luck there. I don't think they'll do anything. I do think with Michigan, I think they'll have more success crazily than that. At home, I think when they play Michigan, I think they'll have more success simply because I think Michigan runs the ball more than Ohio State's going to, even though McCarty's having a great year. The game Saturday is against the Illinois Fighting Illini. Terps should be favored in that game. We do like the Terps in that game. We'll talk a little bit about that next week as well. I think the game is at 3:30, where the Terps are going to go ahead and play the Fighting Illini. So big sports weekend here, and it didn't go well, to say the least, as well. We got to talk about this because we are obviously recapping the ALDS. I'm recording this the night a little bit before it dropped, and I was thinking about, well, I'm gonna record. Maybe I shouldn't do that because we're still going to have Oriole games, but 3-0. Orioles are out of it now. They're no longer playing here as well. So the Orioles are wrapping up their season. Let's thank the Orioles here for an outstanding season that they had. Orioles 101-61 regular season. They lost 3 straight games to the Texas Rangers. So Orioles, yeah, let's get it up on the screen. Eliminated 3-0 from the Texas Rangers. This series wasn't close at all. I thought the Rangers just rolled them from start to finish in every side. This is why we lost. Adley, 083, not even hitting 100. Mountcastle, 182. Ryan O'Hearn hit 200. Jordan Westberg hit 222. Not getting up. Not going to work. The offense, I would say, and I said this a little while ago of the Orioles, when they lose, they don't score. They don't have great pitching. I think the pitching improved down the stretch as they were winning, but the nights they did lose, they probably scored a lot less. Their bats do tend to go cold with at times. That's what I saw more. And seeing those times see happen more towards the end of the season than at the beginning when they were scoring runs. So that was an issue where they didn't do as well. Pitching was lousy too. Grayson Rodriguez and Dean Kramer, they both had ERAs of over 25. Together, they had 3 innings pitched. I think it was 3. I may not be wrong. I think it was 3 2/3 total that they had. They both got creamed. I thought Grayson just didn't have it at all. I thought Kramer was just as bad. You could argue in hindsight you could have went with Kyle Gibson. I was thinking maybe that was the case, that they would go with Kyle Gibson simply because he had playoff experience and been there before, and these guys. But I can't really argue too much with going with those 3 because they were your best 3 during the course of the year. Bradish, Grayson, and Dean Kramer. Bradish was good. They didn't score enough to help him in that first game. They didn't. And the other 2 it was over before it started. I mean, they just didn't have it at all. And they lost as well. Yeah. Crazy enough, bullpen wasn't that bad in the third game. Like, really. Gibson was the only guy that gave up any runs. Kyle Gibson actually gave up any runs, but it didn't matter. I mean, they were so far behind. It was after the early start. That was it. Texas is going to the American League Division Series, so we do want to congratulate. We don't play it. We're going to congratulate the Texas Rangers for actually getting there. I think it will be the Astros as well who won their last game. So we could have an all Texas final. I would say these 5-game series, 3-game series, etc. You're gonna get some hours. That's the same as a 7-game series. We kind of almost get your act together. You got no time here in these 3-game series. 3 games and 5 games. It could be over quick, and it was. Corey Seager was outstanding all season long. Jack Jung in contention for the Rookie of the Year, along with Grayson Rodriguez. Garver, Mitch Garver, they hit over 400. They were they basically bludgeoned the Orioles to death early, and they really didn't stop. Also to Andrew Haney, Jordan Montgomery, Nathan Eovaldi, all had decent starts. Haney in the first game, they kind of pulled him early, even though he threw a lot of runs. That's not unusual for playoffs. I mean, playoffs, any kind of trouble, you're pulling guys or whatever, you got to win that game. And during a normal baseball season, you're managing 162. You might leave a guy in. You don't want to burn out a guy. In this situation, you're going ahead and you're automatically going ahead and going to your bullpen and everything, etc. So that is a very important thing as well. The Rangers just had a better baseball team than the Orioles in this game. I thought two things also too outside of stat line. The Orioles looked nervous. They were a lot of young guys, never been there. I thought in game one, you could tell like they hadn't been there. And this was I mean, they had a few guys. This is why they brought Flaherty in, because Jack Flaherty, because hey, he had been to the playoffs. He had been there before. He had actually had these experiences and had a couple of these, and he really didn't work out for him as well. Even a lot of the hitters, you talk about Adley Rutschman, Gunnar Henderson, Anthony Santander, even their vets, they've been on the earth, they had not been there before. And that's exactly what it looked like. Now, the Rangers as well, on their side of it as well, they haven't been a good team for a while, but they have Bruce Bochy, who certainly with a lot of postseason experience. You had a couple of guys, Marcus Semien, Corsic. They had been. That's exactly what it looked like. They're a team that had been there and done that, and the team that was just a young team and hadn't experienced anything like this before. That's the other thing. A couple things also too with the Orioles. One, we need to be thankful, be glad that they had such a good season. Look, nobody, if anybody, if being honest, and this is me as a fan as well, was said, okay, they'd have won 100 games and we got knocked out and we had the number one seed, we would have taken that all day long. So even though we're not happy about the result, we got to be happy overall with the season as well that we had. So definitely the Orioles are definitely absolutely going in the right direction for next season. We're going to go into Orioles off-season content. So we're going to look at a lot of things. We're going to look at we're going to look at the depth chart. We're going to recap the season that some of these guys has. We're going to look at Orioles free agency. We're going to look at all these things. So when the baseball season ends here, we don't just stop talking baseball, right? We're going to continue to talk baseball all year long. So definitely we're going to do that. Other thing from the series as well. A lot of these games in the National League, and just a larger baseball conversation, Orioles weren't the only team that had a problem with the current format. I don't know if it's wrong or not, but it's not. There's something there. There's something there. The Astros. I heard Alex right earlier. He said because of the fact that they had so much time off that it kind of killed their mojo a bit. That was a thing. Like the Astros, a team that's been to the playoffs several different times, easier for them to kind of navigate that. And they won the second game. Braves struggled out the bat. Dodgers struggled bad. Dodgers have had struggles, period. Dodgers, I do want to say this. It as great as Clayton Kershaw has been, he's been terrible in playoffs. I cannot think of a player in any sport that's been this bad in the playoffs and so great any other time. I can't think of one. This is why the Dodgers don't have more more world championships, because Clayton Kershaw has been green like in all the postseason. Now you could argue this year, okay, he shouldn't have to carry him, et cetera, because they had a lot of injuries, blah, blah, blah. They're kind of carried by that. You could argue all those things, but this is why they've struggled for so long, because they haven't been able to go ahead and put together anything in the postseason. As far as he hasn't been able to put anything together in the postseason. The Phillies and the Braves, they look like two teams basically on the same level. I think the difference is the Braves put together a whole season of great play, and I think the Phillies have had a lot of injuries. The Phillies kind of got a lot too. The talent-wise on that team, they're about the same. That was one of the best catches I ever saw Michael Harris made when he threw out in the ninth inning, when he made that last catch and then threw out Bryce Harper trying to go back. That was sensational. That probably saved their bacon too. The late homer by Austin Riley, and it was a phenomenal throwing catch, phenomenal into that game that probably saved them, because they got outplayed most of the game. The Phillies pretty much outplayed them as well. So as we go into the ALCS, we will continue to talk a little baseball. So focusing mostly on the Orioles, as the Orioles were in the playoffs, but now like the Orioles are eliminated, we'll continue to go ahead and go over it as well. ALCS, and then we'll talk a little bit about that on our podcast every week. Right. So let's get our chin up, Oriole fans, Raven fans, Terp fans. Let's get our chins up here, because we got more stuff to do here. Ravens are going to play Sunday in London early, 9:30 in the morning. So definitely like that East Coast. East Coast. But if you live on the West Coast or where that as well, two Terps are playing this weekend. So Maryland is going to go out and play. I think the game's at 3:30 as well. I didn't do as much research on that this week, but they're definitely going to play Illinois this week, definitely. And Terps basketball is going to start here pretty soon, so we will go ahead and cover that as well. The Maryland Terps basketball, we will go ahead and start coverage of that next month in November. And yes, sir, the City Poly game. We're going to talk about the Black Knights when we destroyed the Engineers here pretty soon as well. So definitely we're going to go ahead and check that out. I think this is the 135th meeting, I believe. So definitely we're going to check that out as well. So we want to thank you very much for joining us this week on the Ravori Sports Podcast, the Baltimore Sports Podcast for fans like me. Thank you for joining us this week. I know it was rough this week as Baltimore sports fans. Baltimore, we're us old Baltimoreans, we're tough people, right? We worked at Domino's Sugar. We worked at the X Factory. We worked at McCormick. We did all those things, and now we're going to soldier on. Ravens are going to soldier on. Orioles are going to figure out. We're going to go ahead and get squared away here. So thank you very much for watching the Baltimore Sports Podcast. For fans like me, the Ravori Sports Podcast, we will see you next week on the Ravori Sports Podcast. So let's go ahead and get squared away as we go ahead and get out of here. We will see you next week on the Ravori Sports Podcast.